We've obviously used color quite a bit in our projects in this class, but we haven't focused specifically on the topic of color. Color is ultimately light. Our eyes are finely tuned by evolution to be able to see a chunk of the electromagnetic spectrum, which we call visible light. The pixels that make up a computer screen are composed of red, green, and blue segments. When these are made to glow with different intensities, we can simulate any color visible by humans. This is because we have a minimum size of object that we're capable of seeing as an object, and so the individual segments of the pixels are, if they're small enough, that light will combine, and our eyes will see, the color that was intended. This is the color wheel that you probably have seen in elementary art class. It shows the primary colors and their corresponding complementary colors. This can be useful when you're working on a design and you want to highlight, you want to contrast one color to the other to pay attention to something like this. And we have a number of tools available to work with color. Not surprisingly, the first one is Photoshop, just like with a lot of things we've seen recently in the class. No doubt at this point you've found a number of different tools inside of Photoshop that allow you to choose colors and work with colors and so forth with different brushes and whatnot. So obviously Photoshop is one of those tools that we can use. Another one is a great tool by Adobe, which is the Adobe Color CC website. And this is a really neat site that allows you to create palettes of color for your designs. And it's integrated in with some of the other Adobe tools. And so that's kind of a nice free tool to be able to use. Likewise, the Color Scheme Designer from Peloton is similar. You can create color schemes and see how colors work with one another, and come up with something that you think is going to work well for your design. And finally, the last one is the HTML color names. Now, we haven't really done a lot with or anything so far with web design, but as we move into the modules dealing with web design, this is something we're going to be using quite a bit. And so, that's a website definitely to get familiar with. We're going to see a lot of stuff from W3 Schools. It's a wonderful, wonderful resource. I want to finish this up talking about color blindness. We can't really talk about design without discussing color blindness. Color blindness is manifest in several different ways. Generally speaking, it's the inability or the reduced ability to see certain or even all colors. And given the fact that roughly 5% or so of the population is colorblind in some way, this is something you want to take into account when you're designing. If you work in an environment where you have to comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA, such as our university, UNI, then you need to make sure that your designs are usable by someone with this type of vision impairment. But even if your environment doesn't have that regulatory requirement, it's still a good idea. I mean, why would you want to turn away visitors, which are often customers, needlessly? So this is something to definitely pay attention to. We also have a number of tools for looking at how color blindness works with our designs. The first is the color blindness simulator. This one's really neat. It allows you to upload an image and see how it looks with various forms of color blindness. If you're using an image that you created in Photoshop, you'll need to export it to one of the file formats that's supported by this tool. And they list that on the web page. So it's like JPEG, PNG, things that we've worked with so far. And you also want to make sure that the image is less than 600K before uploading it for testing. That's the maximum file size that they allow, which shouldn't be a problem. You should know how to do that when you export your image. The second one is the colorblind web page filter. And the idea with this tool is that it would show you how a whole web page would look like to colorblind people. I really wish that this tool worked better with modern sites. I tried it with some UNI sites, and it just didn't work very well. If anybody has a suggestion for a better tool to do this, please let me know, because I could use this both professionally and in future versions of this class. So That wraps up our short look at color. There are all these resources will be on e-learning in this module.